Now in studio with me, of course, Ger Tannum at Island Bridge Brand Development. Good morning, Ger.
Good morning, George.
Congratulations on the haircut.
Thank you.
Very impressive. Is this what the modern kickstarting people kind of haircut?
This is what the young entrepreneur around town is wearing, so I thought I'd do my best to look the part.
Very good. Now, who have we got this morning?
We have Jan van Leuven from IQ Signage and Print, and that's a company bringing strong project management and communication skills to a sector of the market that's traditionally been driven by kind of technology and price. It's been a kind of a real kind of trade sector, and I think as a result, the approach that IQ is bringing is very, very different.
Is it?
It is.
Now, I looked up the website. I better, hold on a minute. I better say good morning, Jan. And now, because we want to kickstart your business, we want to make sure that people can pronounce your name properly. Ger sort of mangled it, really. You might say it properly.
Jan van Leeuwen.
Van Leeuwen. All right. Now, but long time domiciled in Ireland, and we have IQSignageProjects.com. Agreed, Ger?
Agreed.
Kickstart your business on Hook's Saturday Sit-In thanks to Killarney Convention Centre. With unlimited parking, hundreds of rooms on site and seating for 2,500 people. KillarneyConventionCentre.ie.
All right, well, we're kickstarting this interesting business this morning of Jan van Leeuwen. Ger, earlier you spoke to one of Jan's clients. Have a listen to this.
I'm Joanne Geary. I'm Group Head of Marketing for Sherry Fitzgerald Group. In the estate agency business, signage is obviously hugely important in how we sell our clients' properties. And also in how we promote our brand across the city and the country. Certainly what our clients were demanding was a very quick turnaround, getting signs up very quickly, bringing products to the market very quickly for new homes developments or office blocks or houses even. And certainly our signage requirements and our suppliers needed to be, working very quickly to what we needed to do. And when I first came across Jan and Paul, I suppose we'd had difficult service levels with other suppliers and, signs not going up when we needed them to go up, going up in the wrong places, and our customers were being pretty dramatically disappointed by what we were able to do. So when I met Jan and Paul, they basically offered us the solutions that we needed, which was very quick turnaround. They sent us photographs when they put up signs. They advised us if there was any planning permission issues with putting signs where we needed them to go. And they billed us and invoiced us very efficiently.
Now, what is the business is this you're going to sell me? It's a sign outside the shop saying to let.
On the website?
Yeah.
Yes. No, I agree. I think the website grossly undersells the business because I think what IQ is doing is clearly very, very different from what else is on offer in the market.
So we're ad idem. Rarely this happens, but we are ad idem.
Yes.
Jan, I have to say, I was hugely disappointed by the website. Now, you're very lucky this morning that you have the world's greatest website expert in Ger. Truthfully, I mean, this Ger is your line of expertise, is it not? So
one
we
of
can
them.
help Jan.
One of them it is, yeah.
So I might like to ask Jan a question. I'm the ordinary guy, okay? So I look at it and I say, but sure, this is only a to let sign outside a shop. But the IQ part of the name clearly indicates there's a lot of smarts going into this business. So what are the smarts that you bring to the business then? What's different about it?
I think what's different about what we do is that we actually very much look for the solution. We first actually to listen and understand the needs of the client, and then we approach it on a very much a project basis. So every inquiry that comes in, we look at as an individual project, understand the needs, and then come up with solutions for that need.
Now, because it is the nature of Saturday morning and I'm the bad guy and Ger's the good guy, I always tend to kick off by, diminishing the client's project, which they get very upset about, but I don't really mean to. But this is, I have to presume, is more about a to-let sign outside the building. What are the signage projects that you talk about here?
Well, we started bringing in a new product into Ireland, which is a tubular frame system in which we tension stretch a banner. It's a very versatile product that can go onto a building. We can make it freestanding. It can go extremely large and is at the same time cost effective. The most known example maybe that people would recognise is the two large banners on the National Museum of Ireland. And that brings me a little bit into the project aspect of it. We needed to put a massive sign, 120 square metres each, onto a building without actually attaching it to the building.
Signage. I knew there was something special about that. Now you explain to me. Jan's put it there.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's not a to let sign outside a shop anymore.
No.
It's looking at all sorts of complicated reasons that people might want to advertise almost rather than sign, as it were. Isn't that right?
Exactly. And I mean, it's an area where, because of planning permission, local authorities, health and safety, all those sort of things, it's just kind of fraught with difficulties. And very often, I think the traditional answer has been, we can't do it. And I think IQ appeared to be able to say, we can do it. We can find a way to make this happen.
So you like it?
I do. I like the business very much. I like you. I think they're underselling themselves appallingly.
We've gone from grossly to appallingly.
We have.
Right,
No,
yeah.
and I think it's a shame because I think the part of the reason we selected IQ is that I think there's a real lesson in here for all the people listening, all the entrepreneurs listening, in the sense that it's no good being the best at what you do if you don't find a way of illustrating it, of helping your customer to get it, because there's lots of potential customers for IQ and other businesses like them crying out for a solution. They're crying out and they're getting short sold all the time. And part of kickstarting a business is about, producing an offer or a service that makes a difference.
Before I go back to Jan, do you like IQ sign projects as a name?
Yeah, I wouldn't be crazy about it. I think I like you. I think the IQ piece kind of suggested something else going on, and I know from chatting with Jan before we came in that IQ I think has another connotation, but I think IQ kind of catches. I think people kind of get the sense of it. Yeah.
Well, Jan, having been lacerated there, what are your thoughts about? What are your reactions to the fact that we're saying you're underselling yourself?
I actually think you're right. I think it's an area that is very important, but we've been so busy in growing and doing the business that the communication piece internally and externally, has sort of been left behind. And it's also not core to my skill set. So it's an area
what's your skill set? Because I didn't get that from the website.
Certainly project management and client relations.
Right.
Yeah.
And then who else?
Is in the company.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to buy this. I don't really want to buy a banner. I want to buy somebody who I can be confident in is going to deliver.
Well, I think what we do extremely well is we focus on the solution, and we focus on communicating very clearly during the whole process with the client. So, and we turn around things very fast. We're not stuck by traditional lead times. Signage is quite a traditional area, and it's quite rigid often in how fast things are turned around or how speedy quotes are put out. So what we do is we do that very efficiently, and we communicate very, very clearly with our clients throughout the whole process, because we look at it as a project versus a product.
What would you do, in immediately? What would you do for IQ signage projects?
Well, I think what's really important is that in the notes which Jan sent through to us ahead of the show, she talks about the kind of the project that kind of kickstarted this. In a sense, a project that couldn't be done. And we've heard one of Jan's clients, Joanne, speak about what difference IQ made. So I'd be telling that story because it's quite a remarkable project. They had to, in effect, help a large property company to rebrand over 6 weeks to take down all the old signs and put up all the new. And it apparently couldn't be done, but it was done, and it was done with some time to spare. So I'd be telling that story. I'd be telling the other stories because, as you rightly said, there's no story in a sign, but there's a story in the fact, for example,
of how the sign got up.
Yeah, how did we get something up onto the National Museum? Is it National Museum of Ireland? How did we get something up onto the National Museum that couldn't be attached to the building? There's a bit of drama there. So I think it's really about bringing those stories to life. It's a theme I often return to is that people love to get some sense of, here was the problem, here's the solution, which nobody else could have provided, and the client lives happily ever after.
People sell. So when I asked you originally, right at the beginning, and you might have thought, well, why is he asking me this question? What are your skill sets? What we have to get out there is, whether it's Jan or somebody else within the organisation, this person, here's the story. Already there's a story. Jan van Leeuwen did not, wasn't baptised in the South Parish in Cork, I'm reasonably certain. Is that not so?
It's true.
Right?
Actually, in England.
Okay. Well, I'd rather hope to Amsterdam. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But that's a story. And the expertise is a story. And then, okay, we're not going to drape a pretty model over the sign, so sexy is out. But snobbery is in a funny way, because a guy will want, am I not right? My sign is better than the fella next door sign. No?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a sense of people want the best, and they want to be able to say to somebody else why they've chosen well.
Yes.
I mean, you know yourself, not just socially, but even in a business context, you want to be the smarter business.
The instinct about signage is that something is outside the door. But like, we're running a thing about ageing at the moment on the radio, advertising, saying, think about writing bathroom, kitchen and things like this on the door if you're older, because you forget. So, but isn't there also internal signage? So when you look at like a museum, interestingly, they merge the signs become part of the overall picture of a museum. Do you do that kind of internal signage as well?
We do the full spectrum of signage, and print actually is the one area that we haven't mentioned. But
well, let's mention it immediately. iqprintmedia.ie.
Correct.
So we can go to iqsignageprojects.com or iqsprintmedia.ie. It's the package. Now, Ger, you tell me how George knows all this from this website. You explain.
Well, he doesn't. At present, he doesn't.
Guilty, my lord.
Exactly, and nor on the social media platforms, because IQ are very, very good at keeping their social media up to date. They're constantly posting photographs, but it comes back to the same thing you said. They're just factual photographs. Here's a sign we did. So they're not creating talking points. They're not creating any sense of excitement about the business and what they can do. And remember, this is a business which set up, largely servicing kind of two sectors which have been, on their knees in the downturn, property and retail, and they're doing really well. So this tells us they're doing something very right, and none of that excitement is coming across.
Well, maybe they just don't need us. I mean, maybe they're so successful they don't need us.
They do. They do. Because I mean, ultimately, I understand Jan is very ambitious for the business. So ultimately, they're going to need talking points, people talking and introducing them and spreading the word. And you're right. I think they're doing a lot of those things very well through the business. But when you look at the business in terms of how it's marketing itself, it's poor.
The growth can only come, Jan, from marketing. Word of mouth and your own talents get you to a certain point. And then, if you're ambitious, as Ger has suggested, what pushes you into the Premiership as opposed to being in the First Division is marketing. iqsignageprojects.com, and don't forget iqprintmedia.ie. Go to each of them, look them up if you need help. The help has certainly been there with our guest Jan van Leeuwen, but just think of what the website's going to be look like in a short few months when Ger Tanham is finished advising on it. My thanks, Ger, as always, to you.
Thanks, George.
And Jan, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, George.
I have to say that making mundane things beautiful is a great skill, and I congratulate you on that. And do tell me the story about 125 square metres of signage.
I will.
I want to hear.
I will make
preferably on your website. All right, it's Kickstarting Business, which we do every Saturday morning at this time. More to come on Hook Saturday Sit-In.